WWE 2K17, with the third WWE game on a next-gen console, and sorry that I'm still calling them next-gen consoles, because they are a current-gen technically, but anyway, with 2K17, I was interested in what would return, and as you all know, the series in the last 2 years has taken a step back in terms of creation tools, match types, and overall, just a lot of features because of the big move to PS4 and Xbox One. This resulted in the developers starting all over again pretty much. And in the last few years, they've brought back features that were once a huge part of WWE games. Now, this is the fourth WWE game to be published by 2K Sports, but still developed by Yuke's, along with visual concepts. Well, sorta. I'm still not sure how much involvement they actually have. But let's talk about this cover for the game. This year's cover star is Brock Lesnar, and once again it has one wrestler on it. And I was thinking, since WWE are making an effort at giving the females more spotlight, why not put a female on the cover? Preferably Asuka. Now that's looking great. And yeah, having one guy in the cover does get old, but having one female on the cover would be interesting, only because we've never had that. We'll see what happens in the future, I guess. The main menu has changed completely this year, with a more darker and grey look to it. This is totally opposite to 2K16's bright and colourful menu, and not just the design has changed, but the whole layout. Everything is different. You'll even see wrestlers show up in the main menu, which made me think of Here Comes the Pain, as it had a similar addition to its menu. What caught me off guard when playing the game the first time was Lillian Garcia announcing the names of the wrestlers when you select the match. I like it a lot, actually.
The phenomenal AJ Styles!
When I went to select the character, I also noticed that the developers used their in-game models on the select screen instead of using pictures of how they look in reality. I've always preferred their in-game models, so thank you 2K. A really helpful feature that they put in is pressing R2 to click a letter so you can get to your desired wrestler faster. And with this addition included, I question how I even managed without this before. It really speeds things up, and I like that a lot. I'll admit, the music is not for me this year. I think 2K16 had a better balance with the genre of music, and I understand that a lot of people play these games, so it is difficult to get the music right. But I'm not that upset about it because we also have WWE theme songs in there. So as long as they keep the WWE theme songs, then 2K, add as much 21 Pilots songs as you want. Just keep the WWE theme songs in there. And man, another great thing is this. I just love how you can go here and choose whatever you want to delete from the game. There are categories you can go to, and you can delete whatever you want in those categories. This is another addition that simply speeds things up and gets to the damn point. You don't have to jump from menu to menu anymore. You just go here. It's simple. Universe mode has been around a while, so we all know what to expect. You play matches, you get into rivalries, you watch cutscenes, you create shows, edit rosters for each shows, and more. But what really sticks out this year is the brand new promo system. This is where you have choices to pick from on what to say to the crowd, and then you read it on screen. There is no voice acting, but obviously with the giant roster, it would be pretty difficult to get every single person to voice these lines. Plus, there are wrestlers in the game that are not with us anymore in reality, so we'll have to stick with the reading. Not that I'm complaining, I actually think this works fine. And although I don't always want to use the promo system, it's definitely a neat little addition to the universe mode, and does change it up a little bit. Plus, when you're in a rivalry with somebody, it's nice to have promos on there instead of always fighting. Now, the intros you have to watch before each show. It turns out that these are loading screens, so you pretty much have to watch these intros every time you begin a show. Sometimes it will show only half of the intro, other times it will show the whole thing, but then the intro will start again and play for like 7 seconds. I don't know why they couldn't just give us a normal loading screen, and although that sounds boring to sit through, it's still better than having to watch the intros over and over again. But to give a final comment on Universe Mode, I say expect more of the same, but if you like what you got last year, like I did, then who cares, it's still a fun experience. Of course, Create a Wrestler is in there, along with Create a Female Wrestler. I really had no problem creating my guy again, as it has everything I need, and it seems like more than ever, at least in the next-gen games, you can pretty much create anybody you want. There is new stuff such as new materials, stitching, more access to body parts to work on, and the clothing looks much better this year too. I don't have a lot of bad things to say about Create a Wrestler, it's getting better and better each year, and like I said in the past, the Create a Wrestler was a lot better years ago, but I'm sure next year it will expand even more. But I will say I don't exactly enjoy creating an entrance, and I like the old way of creating my entrance, mainly from the SVR games. And I'm not saying creating an entrance in 2K17 is difficult, I just don't like how it's laid out. But hey, you can still create a cool entrance. All the other creation tools are there, of course. Create a moveset, arena, championship, edit the real wrestlers. And what I really find fun, or at least was fun before they took it out, was moving the camera around and create an arena. That was a lot of fun. Now, as I was waiting for the game, I couldn't wait to try out a big favorite of mine, and that is the highlight reel. And I'll admit, I was afraid that they would mess this feature up and not make it the way it was, and well, that's exactly what they did. This is just some basic replay system that feels like it was thrown in at the last minute. And yes, the highlight reel is a replay system, but it wasn't just some thrown in basic feature. It felt important, it was cool, it was really useful, and it was a lot of fun. But here in 2K17, there's just not much you can do with it. First of all, you can't remove this menu to see better when viewing the replay. You have to save the replay first, quit the match, and then view it without this menu. But even when you do that, the video quality becomes horrible to look at. Another thing that ruins the highlight reel, you have to choose the pre-made camera angles, which rarely make the replay look cool, and most of the time I'll be switching between camera angles and questioning which one to choose, considering they all suck. No cool sound effects to put in either, no cool logos to put on the screen. I'm very disappointed that they didn't make the highlight reel like it was before. So I guess all I can do is move on. Or wait till next year, like always. But wait, there is something else. Story designer. Well, kinda, sorta, not really, actually, no, it's not. It's not story designer. It's nowhere near the greatness of story designer, but it is kind of cool and to some degree makes up for that disappointing video replay. But yeah, you have cutscenes that you could put together to create a story, but you will have to put in your own sound effects and subtitles in a video editor. And be warned, when you want to preview a cutscene, it takes forever to load, which is odd, but I gotta say I have fun with it. It's not story designer, but you can create a pretty cool story if you use your imagination. Now, let's talk about online. Of course, it's included in 2K17, but honestly, whenever I hear people talk about this, it's usually more negative than positive. But my problem with online, and it's been like this for years, it's the fans that are the problem. Now, before I continue, I'm not talking about all of you. I'm just saying if you don't play like a troglodyte, then I ain't talking about you. I'm talking about the idiots who ruined the potentially good experience that online could be. Now, this is when you're facing strangers. I recommend you play with a friend. I do have just one problem when playing with my friend. We'll be playing a match, but it somehow ends up with both of us in different matches, while it's still being the same match type and the same wrestlers in that match. I have no idea if that even made sense, but honestly, yeah, if you don't want to get angry, if you don't want to get pissed off, play with your buddy. But when you're playing with strangers, things get messy. It is so annoying that words can't describe my immense vexation towards these people. I so rarely get people who want to play a normal, decent match. It's mostly these competitive assholes who seem like their life is at risk if they don't win a match. Me and my friend, Extreme's Edge, we're playing an online tag team match against these troglodytes. And yeah, they did defeat us. But I have one question. Where was the fun? If you win, then you win. Move on. If you lose, then you lose. Move on. Just focus on having fun rather than running straight at me nanoseconds into a match. Oh, and if you're new to online, please play with the lowest of expectations. You're welcome. You're very welcome. I really don't want to talk about the next subject on this script, MyCareer mode, because I didn't play a lot of it this year. Honestly, I only played for about 40 minutes, and that was 2 months ago. Plus, what's really odd is 2K17 has no showcase mode, so if that was one of the modes you were looking forward to, I'm afraid you're going to be very disappointed. This mode was not cool to begin with. It did sound cool leading up to 2K15, and then I played it, and wow, was that a disappointment. Virtual currency is in the game. This is how you unlock stuff now, and you can get that by playing matches online, offline, in MyCareer universe. So I guess if you want to play MyCareer for the VC, then okay, but are you actually enjoying it? Because when I play a story mode in a wrestling game, I want to enjoy it. The last story mode I really enjoyed all the way through was 30 Years of WrestleMania, and that was in 2013. The graphics are updated slightly this year, and you'll notice that in places such as the lighting, and if you really want a good example of that, play at WrestleMania 31 and set it to daytime. It looks incredible.
There's some serious power right there. This guy's just getting...
Plus, some models have been updated, which I really appreciate. And honestly, the game looks fine to me. It also doesn't look downgraded like 2K16 did compared to 2K15. It's actually looking really good this year. Now for the gameplay. A lot of it is simply fine-tuned, such as feeling smoother and slightly faster, but I gotta say, before any patches came along, this game was so glitchy that I had to ask myself, how complete was this game when they released it? Definitely the glitchiest WWE game in years. And yeah, a lot of the previous WWE games were glitchy. Actually, WWE games in general are glitchy video games, but 2K17 really takes the cake. It's had a few patches since then, and while it has calmed down with the glitches, I still run into such dumb ones that ruin a cool moment during a match. When you do reverse a move, you'll see this yellow icon which allows you to reverse mid-move, which was in last year, but it's a little easier now since the icon showed up for like a millisecond in 2K16, and in 2K17 it's there for about a second longer, which does help. The stamina meter is still in there, of course, but at this point, I gotta admit, I really don't care about this anymore. In 2K15, it was interesting to have it back and all, but now in 2K17, I play matches as if it wasn't there. And I'm not trying to hate on this feature, it does make sense to have stamina in a wrestling game, but the only time I do realize it's there is when my guy runs out of it and takes a breather while kneeling, which can I finally say looks really dumb when they kneel like that? Who even does that in reality? Two other things in gameplay that bug me is this camera angle and this damn meter. I'll talk about the meter in a second. First, let's talk about this camera angle. Now, I thought they would have learned from SVR09 that doing this is kind of bad, and the original camera angle is just fine. You don't need to change it up. I guess they didn't learn a damn thing. And I know they want to go for that TV look, but it doesn't look that good. And yes, this damn meter. I'm still not 100% sure what this is for, and when it is happening, you can't reverse a move. We already have limited reversals, but now we have this? Please, somebody in the comment section let me know what this is for, because right now I still don't understand it, and it's driving me insane. Taunts are different this year. You either have a crowd taunt or an opponent taunt. It's pretty self-explanatory. You have a taunt for the crowd and you have a taunt for your opponent. Now at first, I didn't get this at all. It was weird, honestly. But I've grown to like it very much, and I think it's what taunts needed. Another great idea from the developers is going into the crowd. We can finally jump over the barricade by pressing L1. You'll find a table and other weapons here. You can jump off the stage onto your opponent. You can't chokeslam or powerbomb them off the stage, but it's still cool. And here's another treat. We can go backstage, and you have this hallway with some rooms you can go into. You'll even see Stephanie or Triple H or even Vince stand behind the table. And yeah, if it were reality, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't be just standing there, but who cares? And since WWE games haven't done something like this in a few years now, I'm thankful. But if you want more new stuff, try out the ladder match. This is the one match that really needed a change. But I guess I could give the Elimination Chamber a shout out too. Maybe next year. But is the change good? Mostly, yeah.
He almost took his head off with that lariat.
Climbing up the ladder has new animations, the ladder finishers have new animations, and the mini game when you're trying to win the match is much better. You can even make a bridge with the ladder and break it in half. You can either dive off the turnbuckle onto it, or you can do your finisher onto the ladder. Even when you lean the ladder on the ropes and run up it just looks so much smoother. And I think he's begging. One more new addition in the gameplay would be the rollout feature, which happens in matches with more than 2 people. Now let's say you have 3 people in the ring, but you get powerbombed. Well, your wrestler will roll out of the ring. I liked it at first, but now it's just an extreme annoyance. I find myself lying on the ground on the outside more than anything else in matches with more than 2 people, and obviously that's not a fun experience. But with the game in general, the biggest complaint would be how it's outdated. And honestly, I'm way used to this. It's like this every year. I don't really care about the outdateness. Outdateness? Is that a word? It shouldn't push you away from the game. If you're a long-time fan of these games, you'll probably pick it up anyway and play it for a few months, then move on. But if you're a newcomer, I think your problem will be the controls. It will be a bit complicated, so just take your time and you'll eventually get the hang of it. So overall, WWE 2K17 is a mixed bag. There's stuff I like, stuff I love, but then there's stuff I dislike and stuff I hate. Yeah, that last one would be that poor excuse for a video replay. But something I love is the cutscene thing. And yeah, it has its problems, but I hope it's a beginning to something bigger next year. I think the game needs a story mode. This year they proved that it just feels odd without one, and I just don't care about my career. It's a lazy, uninspired mode. The gameplay is fun for the most part. Again, the game was a glitchy mess when I bought it, and a large part of me thinks the developers did that intentionally and said, hey, let's just fix whatever glitches pop up with a patch. You know, being able to patch a game is awesome, But if you have patches upon patches, I begin to question how complete is your game. So you're going to release a half-baked game, then just fix it with a bunch of patches? Come on, man. Anyway, thank you very much for watching my review. I hope this wasn't too long, and I hope you stuck around to the end. If you're still here, thank you very much. And I don't know if it's too late to say this, but I hope you have a very happy 2017. And I hope 2K17 was worth your money. And I shall see you next time, but for now, please, take care.